Hello, everybody. Oops, I think I got lost in the slide there. I'm going to talk to you about the social media campaign that we launched for the Youth Forum. One of my roles, or one of my principal roles, was to create and launch and work on this the social media campaign with my colleagues in the web department and in ERI, which is External Relations and Information. So it was clear from the events of 2011 that social media was critical to the preparation of the Youth Forum. This is why we have an overly full house today, I believe. We want you guys to understand that we understand that it is your world. UNESCO belongs to you. You are our stakeholders. This is an infographic of global social network penetration, and you can see that it is way over 50% in a lot of many of our member states. So why do we want to stay connected with you with the Youth Forum? We want to make sure that our theme and sub-themes that we selected for the Youth Forum are really speaking to you guys, that that's really what you're interested in. For example, if we put up a tweet or something along those lines, or launch a social media initiative that that didn't receive a great amount of feedback, they would say, what's going on there? What should we examine? Should we retailor the Youth Forum to target a different subject? Or if another subject popped up that we hadn't thought of, why is that happening? Should we talk about that at the Youth Forum? Not only are we at the Youth Forum listening to you, but United Nations agencies and international organizations around the world are asking for your opinion. So you see the UNDP quote up there, if you had $1 million US, how would you use it? That's not just an open-ended question. That's an appeal to you and to the general public around the world. They honestly want to know, how would you spend $1 million US? Same goes for the EU and the World Bank, the WHO, UNESCO, definitely. The United Nations, we all ask questions of those nature because we're really soliciting your responses and your replies. We want to know what matters to you. Just to remind you guys, these are the theme and sub-themes. And these are the prompts that, so whenever you see these kinds of prompts, share, tell us, we want to hear from you, how, who, these kinds of keywords, we're inviting you, we're encouraging you, we're tailoring these messages to try to get your opinions. So I wanted to also share with you how we developed the social media campaign. One of the complaints, the criticisms I should say, that's heard often about the UN organizations is the kind of language that's used. It's very institutional, it's very heavy, it's all about mechanisms and frameworks and conventions and this and that. And we're talking about people, but sometimes we're not talking to people. So what we came up with at first for the Youth Forum social media campaign was something along these lines. What are the mechanisms? What are the processes? What are the role of key stakeholders? This is a great question. These are all great questions, but they don't necessarily fit into a social media campaign where you need information in a second. So this is kind of the question we were going to ask you. This is what we asked you. We took all those words and brought it down to questions like, what do youth want and need? Tell us. This is one of our most popular tweets. And how did we come up with this tweet? Well, we realized it had to be all that, the words that we saw in the previous slide, that had to fit into 140 characters. They had to contain a keyword. They had to contain a link. They had to contain a hashtag. So we did our research, and we picked out words that we knew that you were paying attention to. You're paying attention to jobs, to conflict, to change, to voices. This is another one of our most popular tweets. This was retweeted by the UN. UNESCO now wants to know your thoughts. Can kids grow up around conflict, grow up happy? This was retweeted by one of our partners, the UN Youth Champion, Monique Coleman. Stop cyberbullying. What can you do to break the cycle? We want to hear from UNESCO Youth. And this is what you said. And we genuinely took all of your responses into consideration when we were developing the Youth Forum. So we've gone over before, my colleagues have gone over before, how this actually matters to you. Well, how does it matter at the Youth Forum? Well, not only do your responses feed and inform our papers and our background and our preparation for the Youth Forum, but they also go into drafting the final report. So of course, if we see that there is one subject that's receiving particular emphasis in the social media discussions, we're going to spend some time talking about it at the Youth Forum. And eventually, that subject could make its way into the final report that's drafted by the youth delegates and submitted to the UNESCO General Conference, where it is then transmitted to the world. So, all in all, what did we hear from our social media campaign for the UNESCO Youth Forum? We heard that you feel like your opinions really aren't being taken seriously by adults, by people in positions of power. We also heard that the environment and climate change are still critical issues to you. You're very vocal about it. You also need help training and finding a job. It's not as simple as, oh, I can't find a job. There's a serious mismatch going on. People with really high educational skills are either not finding a job or finding jobs that are way below what they anticipated. There is still a gender imbalance in school and in the workforce. And probably the bottom line of all of this is that you want a platform to be listened to. You want us, the UN agencies and international organizations, to be that platform where you can voice your issues. So please, we are listening to you. We are taking your opinions into consideration. We are taking them seriously, and we are that platform. So please raise your voice, and it matters.